Hey guys, it's Matt. To start A Voice in the Night, which is very similar to the old-fashioned radio show but does not have the absurd commercials and some of the ridiculous elements like Marco Rubio bubble parties. This is more serious, typically gets into a little bit deeper conversation about the cartoon world and the clown society and those on puppets. And by the way, if I break out into like uncontrollable laughter, it's just because of yesterday and Bootsy. It's just the pendulum swinging back the other way. It just happens, to all. You have this deep low, but then the pendulum wants to come back. So if I break out in uncontrollable laughter, it's just because that has to bubble up. And I hope this does. Some of the articles I'm going to mention and some of the ridiculous elements of cartoon clown world might not just pull forth uncontrollable laughter from me, from you as well. We'll see. Now we'll start off laughing at this set of sorry individuals. Yesterday, the Bootsy tribute. there were 5, 6, 7, or 8, 5 to 8 sick individuals who immediately they stay subscribed to me as little troll minions. They stay subscribed to me just to thumb me down in the first 5 minutes or so. In your little control panel, you can't see the thumbs down, but you can see the percentage of thumbs up. So sometimes I'll load a video and the percentage of thumbs up will be lower, but over time, as all of you come in, it goes up because these sick individuals, they stay subscribed to me. Okay, that's fine if they're going to be little trolls and little schmeagles. my precious. They can do, but for the Bootsy video about a dead cat, what kind of sick individual? Just think about it. They're leaning their greasy selves back in their chair. They got a cigar, maybe a smoke and a pancake on their table. All these empty beer cans lined up. They've got different porn sites running all at once. And then look, an alert. Matt posted a video, an alert. And they leaned their greasy selves up off the back of the chair. And the chair has big spots on it. Like, what was it? The Soul Glow family, when they leaned up from their chair in Coming to America, they left a big spot on the couch from the Soul Glow. Let your soul glow. These greasy individuals put their cigars down and they're smoking a pancake to thumb down the dead cat tribute video. What kind of sick individual could look themselves in the mirror after that? Let's start with a quote from the famous physicist and quantum physics pioneer, Erwin Schrodinger or Schrodinger. I don't know which one it is, and you'll see after this dumbass quote, he doesn't deserve to have his name pronounced correctly. After this dumbass quote I'm about to read, and all this great quantum physics pioneer, right? All we know is this cat in a box. That's all he brought to the table? So it's like cat in a box. It might be dead. It might not be dead. I've got quantum in my damn YouTube name, and I don't understand none of it. I don't understand what he's talking about. I could take Puss here and put Puss in the Chewy box I just unloaded the damn wet food out of. The cat ain't going to be dead or alive at the same time. Puss going to be alive in that box. So I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about, this famous shred. It's a bunch of nonsense. Let's get to the quote. I consider science an integrating part of our endeavor to answer the one great philosophical question which embraces all others: who are we? And more than that, I consider this not only one of the tasks, but the task of science, the only one that really counts. Now, Erwin, I wouldn't give a squirt of pee for your ass right now. Spinning around your grave, spin around your grave, spin, 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 spin. This is the dumbest observation of all time. So, Erwin, you're going to use science to address the most important philosophical question ever addressed by, quote, man, and it says it right here in the quote, who are we? That's the opposite of what anybody with a brain would do. Science, as we know it in our little group, we don't have no Wikipedia pages written about me and the people listening to this. We know science draws you out into the false world. And the false world then gives you a bunch of bullshit that then penetrates back into your senses and will brainwash you and tell you about the world and try to tell you who you really are out there. And then you can fall for it and bow down to it. The only thing that can tell you about yourself, it's the opposite of science and your empirical evidence and your nonsense experiments and your double slit eraser experiments, whatever the heck that is. It's the philosophical questions come from the inner tuning fork and the inner knowing within. Go watch the first 5 minutes of Monty Python and the Holy Grail with the clip clop of the coconuts. You seek the Holy Grail out there, they're telling you you're as dumb as King Arthur and his little band with the clip clopping of the coconuts. If you seek it out there with science, you're seeking it in the realm of the heart of deception in this realm. You don't look to science to tell you. You look to science for a few things, like how to make a better toaster, how to make your car mileage goes up, shit like that. You don't look to science to tell you who you are, boy. Come on, sir. Get a clue. He's rolling, people visiting just a few graves away. He's rolling around so much, the people visiting Grandma a few graves away are looking over. Isn't that Schrodinger's grave? Look at it. It's vibrating up and down. Somebody in the world's saying something about him right now, and it's me. You've done it now, Matt. He's a quantum physics master. On your moment of death, that Schrodinger will be waiting for you like a kid would wait for you at the bus stop or in the parking lot after high school. He's going to be waiting for you at the moment of death, Matt, holding like chains and stuff, like that scene from Cape Fear. Counselor? Is that you, counselor? He's going to take bicycle chains to you. I better be, forget archonic tricks at death. I better be wary about Schrodinger coming up and getting in my business after what I just said about him. But he's going to be alive and dead in a box at the same time, so I don't have to worry about him. If anybody's new here, let me just summarize it in 45 seconds before we move on to the next topic. Everything in screen reality here in the snow globe is a liar. Every bit of it. And as it gets closer to the screen, as it gets closer to a Wikipedia page, or what authority says, or your TV, or what big government says, it becomes more of a liar. So the closest thing to truth is the closest thing inside your reality bubble. Your grandmother coming into your reality bubble to serve you a piece of apple pie, or Bootsy jumping up on my lap. That is what's most real. So what science does is it draws you outward into the heart of the mass deception. And then your senses that don't interpret anything probably correctly anyway, probably the work for the man. As you move outward, the entire reality, without exception, as you move closer to the screen, is a lie. The entire purpose, this is the half page of the 2 sentences. The entire purpose of the lie here is so you never truly understand yourself, which can only be done by going in. Guys, I didn't plan on going to Schrodinger's Wikipedia page or Schrodinger or whatever your name is. There's always something here that's bizarre, funny, strange, or gets my attention. Almost, it's like a reality symptom now. So let me just go through this. And I had no idea what was here. Reading from the Wikipedia, Erwin Rudolph Joseph Alexander Schrodinger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 damn names on a birth certificate. Erwin Rudolph Joseph Alexander Schrodinger. What sort of parents would do that to the poor kid? No wonder he went into science instead of sports. It gets worse. It says here, sometimes written as Erwin Schrodinger, S-C-H-R-O-E, or you can write it sometimes written as Erwin Schrodinger, S-C-H-R-O-D-I-N-G-E-R, without the E. What do you mean sometimes written as? Didn't they have an alphabet when he was born? When he seemed to check when he was born, 1887. Look, I'm no genius, but I'm pretty sure they had an alphabet. A through Z. His name is his name. My name is Matt McKinley. You can't be like, sometimes with MCK, sometimes with MCKK. No, you can't put it any way you want. I have a name that's spelled a certain. So see, this is so bizarre a world, guy. This reality. Look what's going on here with the cat. Sometimes dead. It could be dead in the box, could be alive. That whole Schrodinger's cat nonsense. The cat it's superposition. It's both at the same time until a being of consciousness looks upon the cat and decides whether Bootsy's alive or dead. They're doing it here in the first sentence. I'm not kidding you. This is how bizarro the reality is. Sometimes written as Erwin Schrodinger with E, sometimes without the E, D-I-N-G-E-R. Are you saying, Matt, they're screwing with us in the first sentence of the Wikipedia, saying it can be either or as you write the name, just as the cat is alive or dead? I'm telling you, whether this was intended or not, this is how this bizarro world reality works. It is a sick trickster, sometimes written as like his name isn't going to be his name. Come on, sir. What kind of bot thought they could pull this shit off as we're reading the Wikipedia? Field theory he worked on, this and that. He jerked off Albert Einstein. What else does it say here? Okay, here it is. Here's what I wanted to read to you guys. Along with Paul Dirac, he won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 19... Oh, no. He won it in 1930. I'll give you two guesses, but you only need one. Well, Matt, you already gave it away at this point. He won it in 1933. Well, Matt, that means the creeps planned everything, and they're not necessarily. I agree the creeps used the power numbers, and they put them in everything, but it also flows out of reality itself. The talking video I had, not the one before Bootsy, I was saying certain things as I was reviewing it. It was all right. When I load to YouTube, I review it, jump around, make sure everything's okay. It almost always is, but still, I thought, certain things are being said here, and I thought, oh, I didn't look at the timestamp. Is there going to be a 33 in the timestamp or something? Somebody's going to get on me in the comments whenever there's something in the timestamp. Nobody did. I pointed it out myself in my own comment, but I looked at the number. It was 27, I believe. There's the 9, and then the other number was 56 seconds, and I went, I put it in the comment. Is anybody surprised? Me neither. Well, Matt, you did that on purpose, and now you're trying to cover it up. Believe whatever you want. That's right. I've been at this address for 20 years in the same sweatshirt, on public record. I'm in every yellow pages, every white papers, but I'm somehow to a whole little troll segment. I'm an agent pushing for something. I guess they planted me here 20 years ago, and I've never taken a day of vacation, but somehow I'm working for the man, according to a little group of trollsters that run around the internet. Guys, I'm trying to move off the Schrodinger Wikipedia page. There's other things to talk about, but as usual, for an agent of the Notnilk system of this magnitude, it's just going to keep coming and coming and coming. And if you go down the bottom, it says color. His work on the psychology of color perception follows the step of Newton, Maxwell, and von Helmholtz. Who the hell's von Helmholtz? His work on the psychology of color perception. This is, of course, exactly what Steffer has introduced to us. We've been looking at the last 6 to 7 months with the magenta. Maybe he was one of the founding fathers of how color or certain frequencies associated with color are actually used to shape reality itself. All these white papers or theses or treatises or whatever I don't know what you call the damn things when he wrote them up, bound back in the day. It's not even in English. I don't understand none of it. But I wonder if the magenta came from him. Oh boy, whatever. But it's just as I scroll down there, I said these articles will keep giving. There will be something else here. And if I look, and I didn't even look at it closely, if I looked at it more closely, it would keep coming and coming and coming. Just like the damn research on the Transcontinental Railroad kept producing. His work on the psychology of color perception. Oh boy. He's the George Washington, potentially the magenta. Can you believe this shit? We still can't leave the Wikipedia page. I will try to keep this under 2 minutes. I have to make fun of this. Usually Wikipedia has a little white box asking for its Better Off Dead $2. I've never seen, it's a gigantic, big, green, intrusive box. You have to scroll down for 15 minutes just to get by it. A personal appeal. They're going to beg for money again. The ultimate system player that would never need a penny from anybody is going to beg to make it seem, they're going to make themselves seem like a little concern. A concern, not that they're concerned, it means a concern like an entity, a corporate egregore, that type of thing. It says, Wikipedia is not for sale. A personal appeal from Jimmy Wales. Who the hell's Jimmy Wales? And why would I care? Please don't scroll. This is too funny, guys. 1 minute. Please don't scroll past this 1 minute read. This Saturday, December 17th, as 2022 draws to a close, I humbly ask you to reflect on the number of times you visited Wikipedia this year and the value you got from it. I didn't get any value from it. I'm here to make fun of it, as usual. If everyone reading this right now gave just $2 from Better Off Dead, we'd hit our annual goal in a couple of hours. The price of a cup of coffee is all I ask, from Jimmy Wales. What is this, some sort of Sally? It's like Sally Struthers Save the Children. For a price of a cup of coffee, you can sponsor this entire village. A price, he's taking it right out of the Save the Children playbook when it's the number one not nilk tool from the top floor of the Ministry of Information. Look at this. I'm almost finished. Wikipedia is the closest thing we have to a public park or a library where everyone can go to learn. And that's priceless, it says here, from Jimmy Wales. Are you kidding me? A public park? This is right out of the movie 1984. This is sick, man. If Wikipedia has given you $2 worth of knowledge this year, it hasn't given me $2 worth of knowledge. It's given me $200 worth of laughs, and it gives the regular population $20,000 worth of brainwashing. Now, Jimmy Wales, why don't you take your little sign, your little begging for money when you never need a penny, and go bother someone else? This headline is from Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. We're still on the lighter side. I didn't think that a two-sentence quote from Schrodinger would turn into that, but it does. Reality just keeps giving and giving. It says here, quote, people who skipped their CV action vaccination rental, people who didn't do it, who skipped it, are at a higher risk of traffic accidents, according to a new study as reported by Fortune magazine. What? What the hell would it have to do with traffic accidents? Let's see. It's by Aaron Prater, Fortune magazine. Let's see how they're going to pass this off. If you passed on renting the Carl Weathers movie, Action Vaccination, you might be a lot more likely to get into a car crash. Hey, bot, I'm reading from, this is Yahoo Finance via the way of Fortune magazine. Bot, dong, I'm reading this. This isn't my own putting out, okay? If you want to slap somebody down, slap down Fortune magazine. Canadian researchers examined the encrypted government-held records of more than 11 million adults, 16% of whom hadn't received or ever rented the Carl Weathers movie. Canadian researchers examined the encrypted government-held results. If they were encrypted, how the hell did the Canadians examine them? That doesn't make any sense. But they found that those that did not rent the movie were 72% more likely to be involved in a severe traffic crash in which at least one person was transported they used Scotty's Beam Me Up device, than those who rented the movie. That's similar to the increased risk of car crashes for people with sleep apnea, though only about half the risk of people who abuse alcohol. So if you didn't, let me get this straight. Those of us that did not rent the movie, we have the same risk of car crash as somebody that can literally just pass out on the wheel, but half that, well, not quite as bad as somebody that abuses alcohol and drives around the city, but half of that. What? How are they getting this? I don't know what this is going to say, guys. This is ridiculous. The excess risk of car crash posed by those that didn't rent the movie exceeds the safety gains from modern automobile engineering advances and also imposes risks on other road users. What? Of course, skipping the renting of the movie does not mean that somebody will get into a car crash. Oh, thanks for clarifying that. Instead, the authors theorize that people who resist public health recommendations might also, quote, neglect basic road safety guidelines. So by this, if you didn't do what Dr. F says, you're going to basically be acting out scenes from Mel Gibson's Mad Max The Road Warrior. It says you don't do this, you don't do what the authority says here, you won't do what authority says there. And you'll, quote, it's right here, guys, you'll neglect basic road safety guidelines. Baby on board, the sign, fuck it. Just go flying through red lights. One has a complete correlation to the other. Who would have guessed? Who would have thought? Guys, I read ahead a bit. I cannot believe anybody's like, Matt, how do you make sometimes 5 videos a week? I could make 50 videos a week. Reality just gives and gives. Even in the area of pure comedy, it just keeps. This is unbelievable. Quote, continuing to read, why would they, those that didn't rent the movie, why would they ignore the rules of the road? Distrust of government? a belief in freedom? Who would do that? Misconceptions of daily risks? Quote, faith in natural protection? Antipathy towards regulation? Going back to the middle of the sentence, it says faith in natural protection. So let me get this straight. If I have, over the years, energized my natural immunity, I've kept myself in shape, I've watched what I've eaten, I've avoided certain foods, I avoided certain trans fats, I meditate, use vitamins and minerals in certain supplements, naturals, whatever it may be, Chinese remedies, I've energized my immune system, which in a way is what they say here, faith in natural protection. That is a direct and equal correlation to wanting to run a red light between 5th Avenue and 35th Street in New York, a crowded intersection with cars and trucks and buses and pedestrians. It's a faith in natural protection, so you're just going to take your foot off the brake and jam the accelerator down because there's a faith that you're going to get through the red light. That's the same as working your entire life to energize your natural immunity. And it just gets stranger, and we could keep doing this. We need to move on. The one more paragraph is unbelievable. The findings are significant enough that primary care physicians should consider counseling those that did not rent the Carl Weathers movie Action Jacksonation. They should be counseled on traffic safety. And insurance companies might base changes to insurance policies on whether you rented the movie Action Jacksonation. In the United States, we have the most obnoxious character representations for insurance companies pushing auto insurance of anywhere in the world. We have the Geico, maybe some of you around the world have some of this nonsense too. We have the Geico Gecko. We have Flo from Progressive. We have the obnoxious and horrific Jake from State Farm. We have the Glimu Emu and Doug. This damn emu runs around. You want to put him on a damn Thanksgiving table and cook the damn thing. There's others I'm missing, and it's all auto insurance. So they're talking about for years the safe driver discount. We're going to put a little Dr. Theopolis chip in your car. Like I said, we can see that you coasted through that stop sign. You don't get the goddamn discount. Now, when are the commercials going to start? Flo's going to come out and talk to her, her sister, but it's really her. And the sister's be like, I didn't rent that movie. Like, you don't get no discount. Are they going to, in their damn obnoxious commercials, start talking about the renting of the movie in terms of safe driver discounts? Like those that, again, didn't want to rent the movie are just going to punch it when they see a crowded intersection? And remember how this paragraph started. Primary care physicians are going to counsel those that might as well do a little role play, 30 seconds or less. Matt, you're here for 5 stitches, but I can see from your records you didn't rent the movie Action Jackson. No, I did. It says here that we'd like to sit down with you and talk to you about your driving habits. What the fuck? Doc, what the fuck does my driving habits and how I go up and down Route 30, Lancaster Avenue now between here and Philly, what does that have to do with my health? Or what are you talking? It says here that you pose a risk, son. You pose a risk to those. I'm sorry, if my primary care physician ever fucking starts to counsel me on how I drive, I don't know what I'll do, to be honest with you. I'll need to sleep on that one. All right, new topic. It was Jay, I believe, that brought me the Phil Collins song or brought this to my attention. Jay, who did the Not Milk Rubber Ducky painting for us. If it wasn't Jay, I apologize. But he's like, Matt, you talked in that video a few videos back about the theme of going home or go to your home or the need to go home spiritually with that message flowing through movies or TV shows, even ridiculous movies. Again, taking that, what Vanessa coined as the retro causality language. He's like, remember the Phil Collins song, Take Me Home? I'm like, no, I don't remember that. Well, of course, as soon as I loaded up the video on YouTube, it was a big song, I guess the late 80s. I'm like, sure, I remember that. I'll sing 5 seconds of it. I can't play any of it. But it is huge in terms of the take me home or go home spiritually theme that people like us can get out of it. So take me home, 'cause I don't remember, 'cause I have the mind wipe. Take me, I've been a prisoner all my life. Oh boy. Take me home, 'cause I don't remember. For anybody new, or if you're not following what I'm saying or didn't see the video a few back, take me home spiritually. And it's the same half-page reality, the same two sentences. The entire reality is here to distract you from understanding your true nature, from getting you in some way to connect with the spiritual side of you that's not here, or your way home, or your way out, or your higher self, or whatever your religious beliefs are. Basically, the entire reality, as you step out of your immediate reality bubble towards the screen, is here to distract you away from that one simple task. I do believe it is that simple because I watch and observe how hard it works and how pathetic it's become. So, but the retrocausality language, as Vanessa coined it, it comes through all forms of art. First of all, in the video, Phil Collins is all different. He's going to all different places all over the world. So take me home, 'cause I don't remember, 'cause I'm born with a mind wipe. I've been a prisoner all my life. I forget a lot of the other lyrics. And they show him in New York, or they show him in front of the Eiffel Tower, and they show him here, and he goes all over the place. And when he's in Sydney, they show him in front of the damn Sydney Opera House, and I'm watching that going, don't you guys got anything else? Every time you got to show Sydney is that damn opera house. Don't you got anything? What toppings you got, old man? Don't you got anything else with that dumb opera house every damn time? Is it really that great and special? I don't think so. Show grapes being grown, anything but that damn opera house every time. So he's going all over, and maybe you could go into what does that mean, a representation of multiple lives or whatever belief set is. But there's no doubt, in my opinion, that is that type of retrocausality message. Well, Matt, Phil Collins has the highest understanding. He probably don't know shit, Phil Collins. Whether it came out, maybe he got a letter saying, hey, Phil, this is from the record company and was written by so-and-so, Marvin Hamlish or whatever, and why don't you consider recording this? Sometimes I think it comes to the artist through the record company, and it's like, well, he doesn't know what's being said or why he's recording it. But it's like Illuminati Control Center. Yes, we need to get this message out because we're behind quota or whatever reason it is. Or in that era where the stars were aligned and the Jupiter-Saturn return was in a certain way, or Virgo was in a certain place, the messages, spiritual messages, potentially had to come out of art in that era, even just a few decades back, where now they're allowed to, maybe per their astrology and the creepy ways that they do business, maybe allowed to completely cut it off. Why MTV is what it is today is one of the most fascinating, incredible, mind-boggling things of all time. I could do a whole channel every day talking about how it's so bizarre that MTV is nothing but reruns of ridiculousness or nothing but reruns of 16 and Pregnant. And when it's this weird, I mean, hey, we'll go here, right, in terms of the way out theories. Maybe when these great songs, incredible messages, maybe the way the creeps seem to be bound, how they have to do business per their astrology, or different eras, or Saturn and Jupiter returns, and all. I don't understand that shit. I don't want to, but they seem to have to do business by it. Maybe they had a smoking room meeting in the 60s, and they're like, we're approaching this era where we're going to have to let the artist, whatever's going to flow through this artist, we're going to have to let it come out. We have to let it come out? Can't we? We could stop it, but that would violate our astrology and break all the spells that we're going to put on these poor sons of bitches just 30 or 40 years later. We've got to let it come out. If Phil Collins just writes, take me home, he won't have a damn clue what he's writing, but real spiritual beings could pick up the message. Yeah, it looks like with the smoking room meeting, Pastor Peter's around, we got to let it come out in this era. But then as soon as, who knows, it would be very interesting to study exactly when. Now, they can't do it overnight. They can't go when MTV basically got shut down. You can't go from, I know I'm going on tangent after tangent here, guys, but I can't tell you if you're underage, it's that same age again, underage 35. When I came home from school that day, in whatever grade it was, And oh my gosh, we had got cable. I was the last one. All my friends had it, and I would go over to their house and watch MTV. But immediately, I didn't care about anything else. They had installed cable in our apartment. Who knows when it was? Was it 81 or 82 or who knows? And I went right to MTV. I didn't care about anything else. And I'll never forget, I've mentioned this before, it was U2 New Year's Day. All is quiet on New Year's Day. And then it was just the most incredible thing. And then, the other videos that were coming out, you just sat and watched day after day. And without going on and talking about every single amazing video and artist, it just was incredible. We'll leave it at that. And how that turned into 16 and Pregnant, it's not shown every night at 8 o'clock. It's shown at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's shown, and then ridiculousness, all day, all night. And what's the other one they have now? It's just mind-boggling. And it's so bizarre that it's almost like in that era, they had to let it come out. And as soon as they were able to shut it down, they could move as quickly as they could to shut it down without anybody noticing. Another smoking room meeting. We're moving into the era where we can stop these spiritual message and we can shut down all the great songs, and we can have some MTV, but it'll just be the mindless hip hop rap and gangster rap and get people into violence and all that stuff through the gangster rap like Suge Knight and respectable fellas like Snoop Dogg and people like so what they can't, you can't just go from the incredible days of MTV where all of a sudden the next day it's 16 and Pregnant every day. You have to make it look legitimate. So you transition into a bunch of bullshit at night, the real world, and strange anomaly animation hour with all this weird shit and comedy shows, and some of which were decent. Again, you can't go from incredible to horrible, or too many people would notice. It has to be done over a certain period of time, which they did incredibly well, because the kids of today just think that's normal for music, television. And but I'm saying, again, just to wrap this up, it could be an era where because the stars align in a certain place, they might have said, we need to hunker down and try to get through this era. If these artists have these types of messages, we got to let it flow out. Yeah, until this star makes its way back through Virgo, we got to let it come out. And it looks like right in the mid-90s, when this constellation goes in front of this star, whatever, we can move to destroy it. As usual, we can move to shut it down so these spiritual beings don't get any possibility that they could tap into the messages. And we could put ridiculous shows on and just completely wipe it out. It's almost like they had to buy time. We just have to buy time for the big day. Oh yeah, the big day, when we can really, our sick ways will come forth on the big day in 2001, where we can transform the nature of reality itself on these poor sons of bitches. I was emailing back and forth with somebody recently about the Beatles' Golden Slumbers. They brought it back to the forefront to my attention. I had looked at Golden Slumbers and how strange that song is. Never talked about it in a video, but been looking at it for years. And every time I hear it recently, I guess over the last 3 or 4 years, I thought this is a song for the creeps themselves. As a reminder, some of the lyrics: once there was a way to get back homeward. Once there was a way to get back home. Sleep, little darling, whatever. I'll sing you a lullaby. Go back to sleep, you son of a beach. Once there was a way to get back homeward. And once there was a way to get back home. That's genius writing. Why not just say the same damn thing? Say it in 2 different ways and people will buy it. That implies once there was a way. Now there ain't no way to get home. Maybe for certain types of entities here, certain types of minions, NPCs. Call it wishful thinking if you want. I don't think that applies to real people like you and me. They work too hard. See, if there was once there was a way to get back homeward, that means there ain't no way to get back homeward. If we're screwed, right? Why do they keep working so hard? See, it doesn't make sense. Matt, you come back to that every time. Well, it's probably one of the most important things that can be said. The whole channel should be nothing but that. How hard they work gives the entire reality away. It might be one of the most important things noticed of all time, if you believe that's accurate. Of all time. Of how the metaphysical nature of this entire reality works. It can't be said enough. So maybe it's Paul talking to George, talking to Ringo, talking to John, talking to the Illuminati Control Center. Which one, Matt? Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island, Harrisburg? Both. Once there was a way to get home, and are you guys stuck here? Melvin? Are you stuck here? And then what's the fucking song? There's no reason for that, Matt. What's the song after that? It's always combined. They're separate, but they're always combined. Even when they played that dumbass shit on the radio, it was always combined with, "You're gonna carry that weight. You're gonna carry that weight a long time, you poor sons of bitches." Who's gonna carry the weight? I think absolutely they're trying to have us carry the weight. And I guess most people around us, like your family and friends, if they're real people, they're carrying the weight and they just go along with it. But we're carrying weight, Jacob Marley chains. We're stepping out of them. We're not carrying that weight a long time. So I'm sorry. I think it's more about them than about us. If you want to call that wishful thinking, what does your inner knowing tell you? Don't look to the internet to interpret it. What does your inner tuning fork tell you? Sleep pretty, Melvin P. Do not cry, for Dr. Evil Jeff B. will sing you a lullaby. Are you guys stuck here, Melvin? Come on, Melvin. Be honest. Are you guys stuck here? Is that what the time loop of that Netflix series 1899 was all about? Who's on the damn Prometheus of the Titanic? You trying to... Misery loves company. You want us stuck here with you. But we're not going to... At least a few of us, we're not going to be stuck here. Wishful thinking? Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. Now I got Schrodinger to worry about at the moment of death. Real quick, I just wanted to mention this or update you guys on this. The amount of synchronicities that people send me, I've alluded to this recently, it's off the charts. And it usually is something to do with something that I will cover in a video. With the most famous one has got to be Robin's Way Back When. We're talking about Severance, Apple TV's Severance, which is the Lumen Corporation. And I think there's another season of Severance coming out pretty soon. I'll check on that. But he said he got a LinkedIn request. He got a LinkedIn request from the Severance Corporation, or a company called Severance, like minutes after my video was over. And I'm not... Okay, guys, number one, there's way more that I get these all the time from people. Now, it has nothing to do with me, of course, but I think it has something to do with us collectively. Like something happened in your video, Matt, or there was a topic, and then something happened the next day. This happens all the time. Well, again, it's not me. Who's listening to the words coming out of my mouth right now? What type of people are listening to me? Just complete cybernetic automaton NPCs that'll wake up tomorrow morning to go make the donuts, or potentially the real creator generator beings of this reality? Even if all of us are the same, your cousin and your best friend and the guy down the cul-de-sac, the reality has trained those people to become powerless, to not have any influence on reality, to bow down to whatever authority says. So that even if everybody's the same, which that might not be the case at all, the people listening to this would be able to affect reality more than the guy down the cul-de-sac, or the person that bows down to Nora O'Donnell on the evening news last night. That sea hag. So all of us, thousands of people thinking on a certain topic, and I hear somebody say, Matt, we should try that sometime. I'm telling you, if we start dabbling in, you want to see a channel get shut down quick? I mean, I don't know. You start dabbling in certain ways, all of a sudden, they'll bring Chris back of the Virginia politician and start hitting me with, and then I haven't even made a video about that guy. I'll be like, strike, gone. I don't know if we should go there. I mean, again, we're not here to plan a kit. We should all think about a Kit Kat bar, where somebody it'll be there on Fifth Avenue and 32nd Street in New York City. Someone go up and walk up and eat it. We're not here to do that stuff, even if we can manipulate. We're here for ourselves. We're here for worry about yourself. Well, why do they let you talk about that, Matt, if that's truly the way out and go in and all? They don't want people out of. I don't know. I still think there are rules to this matrix. I still think there are rules. The creeps are role players. They make a series of presentations to influence creator generative beings who then in some way influence reality. They need us to in some way influence reality. So obviously, if they can't even do that, they didn't create the thing. They're role players. They're the sea monkeys that somebody sprinkled in a bag or in a jar. They didn't create the cup, the water. They didn't even create the store on the boardwalk that sold the damn sea monkeys. They're the sea monkeys, the trickster. They didn't create the reality. So they're role players in this reality. We've talked about that. Satan to God. Christians still are inconsistent in this. I mean, it says right in the Bible, it says many times, or at least a few times in a few different ways, Satan is the god of this world, and then says the ruler of the world in other places. Well, yeah, put here, if in terms of your religious perspective, the same as the creeps. Put here because the creeps and the Satan creature has to be here for people to go through this experience and benefits. The creeps play a role. And their presentation's getting more and more pathetic every decade. So they didn't create anything. I know I almost say this too much, but if you didn't have the asshole element here, you wouldn't be benefiting in the same way. Those that say this reality is not fair, it's hijacked, it's too hard. The proof is in the pudding. We are benefiting. I'm not even near the person I was 12 to 15 years ago. And go back a little bit before that, a complete automaton of the Matrix, just flipping through IKEA catalogs or what car to lease. Or that was the extent of what I could perform intellectually. And I was just, I told you this story before, but this is who I was. A robin's nest was built in my door. This is shortly after I moved in here. I moved into this Exton Malvern area in 2002. And it's inside the door. There was a wreath of some kind, and it had built a nest. And I looked, and there were the blue eggs. And I'm not that. Don't get upset at me. I'm not that person. I took the nest. I said, "What the heck?" Took the nest and just threw it in the woods. And even my father, who could he be an NPC of the? I mean, he goes along with everything that the sea hag Nora O'Donnell puts forth to this day. He was even taken aback. I mean, today I put out mosquitoes. I thought, okay, 4 months ago, I thought, you know what? Ticks and mosquitoes attack first. And, if they attack first and want to get into my blood, then I think I have the right to. I justified this to myself because I don't want to be putting mosquitoes out. Then somebody had to email me or put in a comment that only the female mosquitoes suck blood. The other types don't. And there ain't no way to tell. You can't lift a leg up and tell. So I'm like, oh my goodness. Some of these, they're not all aggressive attackers of bloodsuckers. So when I could easily, I put the mosquito. Sometimes I justified it. Like right before bed, I'm like, I can't afford to have this mosquito get on the cats, and I kill the mosquito. But I put a lot of them outside to save their life. Oh, a spider? Oh my! I'll go through heroic efforts to put it. And it's obviously progressing as a real spiritual being. What Tani Tutanka, whatever, a kicking bird said to Sean Connery, what the hell, said to, what's his name? Said to Kevin Costner, now you're on the right path. I'm not just saying it's about putting bugs out. It's cumulative. All the things we've changed. Everybody listening to this is not the person they were 10 years ago. It's because one of the reasons we have progressed is because the asshole element exists. I'm not cheering for these creeps, but in a way, we have benefited from them. There is no benefit to a reality with beautiful sunshine every day and getting jerked off under a fruit tree. And that's all reality was. You wouldn't learn anything. We've been over that 100,000 times, but it can't be said enough. Finally, would a Voice in the Night presentation be the same without a stalled century segment? In your latest stalled century update, two things have come to me recently. They're recycling back Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. Now, not everything can go back to the 40s or whatever, the 50s, like The Price is Right. Not everything can have that sort of tail on it. But Dirty Jobs premiered in 2003, and then this picked it up and that. And then even in, but what reason I'm making this part of the stalled century segment, there's a commercial for one of they're really pushing it hard. They're bringing back Dirty Jobs. For those of you, I don't know, out of the United States, this guy Mike Rowe, he'll spend a day with the New York City workers who just slog through the sewers and the poop all day, and then he'll in the next episode go to a fertilizer factory or wherever. I mean, it's all disgusting jobs, therefore it's called Dirty Jobs. Not everybody might be aware of it, but the reason I'm talking about this segment first is I don't know what it says exactly in the commercial. I guess I could have looked it up on YouTube, but it was almost like they forced me back into this, or he has a commercial like, well, I got a phone call and I didn't think I'd be doing this again, or they pulled me back into it, and something along those lines. And I'm watching this and I'm like, yeah, Mike, you did a deal with the chief commander like Bob Dylan did. You might not even understand how they're going to use you in their stalled century spell. You might be doing dirty jobs into your 80s, rummaging around sewer systems into your late 80s. Maybe you can never leave. Some of these people don't know what they get involved in, but it's just the way he put it. Like, they called me and yanked me back into this. I was like, that sounded like he didn't have a choice. I don't know. It was just weird. It's not the greatest stalled century example, but it does go back to 2003. The other one, this is a real stalled century example. Somehow John Stossel popped up. I don't know if it was his YouTube channel or a video. I don't know. In the last week, John Stossel made a presentation that somehow was being pushed on me, and I looked it up. He's 75 years old, still active like all the rest of them. If anybody's new, the point here with stalled century is maybe most of them follow that same script that everybody wants to put forth, and your cousin will say, well, they're addicted to the fame and the power, Matt, and all the stuff we've talked about. That might work for half of them, but it's like 95% keep coming around. Nobody just goes off to read a book on a beach by themselves. So even people you don't even think about, John Stossel, Matt, well, he's not worth millions. You know what? He's been active with ABC News or whatever since the late 70s, I believe. You don't need $400 million in the bank to want to just go off and be left alone and read a book. I mean, unless John Stossel found the worst investment ideas in the world, every single .com, he just went boom and bust every time, just by throwing darts at it. I mean, the guys should be worth $10, $15, $20 million minimum. I only say this because people just have the same excuses, that they always want more money, they always want more power. Again, I agree a lot of people fall into that mold, but the reason we started talking about stalled century initially is like they all fall into that mold. I'm sure there's a few people that people could bring to my attention. It can't be 100%, but what's so odd about it, I'm still waiting for one person, and it's got to exist. One person say, Matt, here was a famous rock and roller for 20 years that just took their $50 million and they checked out, and they were able to check out, and they just went away. I keep coming back to Johnny Carson. It's the last person I can remember that truly seemed to be able to check out. The end of the Tonight Show, whatever he was worth in today's dollars, he would have been worth today's dollars, $100 million, whatever. He didn't do TV. He just kind of went away. And he ended the Tonight Show probably in his late 60s. And you didn't really hear from Johnny Carson. That is so rare. It's so abnormal and unnatural. Even Tom Brady, they're pushing. He was on TV the other day, and the Buccaneers, they're not even that good. He just keeps playing. Giselle or no Giselle, he just keeps playing. He won't retire. There's got to be some sort of separate rules. An old man like that, whatever spell they cast on him, whatever, you never see him planted on his ass. You never see him get hit hard. I mean, it's totally a separate set of rules. Such BS. But he can. It's so Tom Brady. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, and I'm sure there's a good chance you are. You're pathetic, dude. Just step down, shine shoes, do something else, and don't say, oh, he said he was going to retire, now he's back. How pathetic. 50, 60-year-old men quarterbacking the NFL. Just go away and bother someone else, Tom Brady. While we're on the NFL theme, there's a similar thing going on with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, the old man quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Now, they're not even in the same class, in my opinion. Do I know anything? Have I seen what Eyes Wide Shut parties they attended together? No, but you just get it. You do this long enough, you get a sense about people. Tom Brady is as creepy as it gets. As creepy as it gets. Who knows the things he's seen or what parties he's been involved? But Aaron Rodgers, it's like they're using him in some way to facilitate stalled century, old men quarterback. I mean, and you know they can't send a guy out there in a wheelchair. So there's only so many of these old men quarterback that they can keep going inside. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers, even if he's being used this way, he's not nearly as creepy as Tom Brady. He wouldn't understand any bit of what I'm even referring to. But he doesn't. This isn't coming out right. And he's not privy if they're using him for stalled century, but he does not look like he wants to be out there on a cold day or last few days, weeks. If you've seen Aaron Rodgers, I watched a little bit of his game against the Eagles. I watch a little bit Eagles football because it's the only thing my dad and I have to talk about. And I mean the only thing. So I do it to save one little bit of our relationship. I watch a little bit of the Philadelphia Eagles. Aaron Rodgers looks like an old man that does not want to be out there. And he's still good. He still has skills or whatever, but it's like, that's an old man in a football helmet, dude. Matt, he's younger than you. I ain't trying to quarterback no NFL team, am I? I ain't buying it. I ain't selling it. It's a fact. All bets are off. What's that? Tom Brady listening to me in real time didn't like what I had to say. What do I say to Tom Brady if it is him? It wasn't Tom Brady. It was my mother reminding me when I go over there to get the ham she's going to give me to make sure I look at the old chair in the garage. What? I'm not going to be over there to get the ham till tomorrow. Just remind me when I get the ham to look at the old chair in the garage to see if I want it. Gotta be a phone call about that. Maybe it was the ghost of Tom Brady working through my mother. Anyway, guys, I don't know. It's part of stalled century in some way. Of course, Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have a damn clue as to what we're talking about. It looks like an old man in a football helmet that does not want to be out there. After all the endorsements, he's got $100 million sitting around. He doesn't. We're talking these hits, elbow and knee injuries, not being able to walk when you're in your 60s. I don't know. There's something keeping Aaron Rodgers out there, and I would say he's not aware of why he does it. This reality is that creepy. But if anybody's new or confused by this strange segment, to me it's very clear what the purpose of stalled century is. And we noticed stalled century long before we noticed the reason for it. That when reality is changing so rapidly, and the nature of reality itself, even at the metaphysical level, is changing at light speed, then you keep staples of what people knew as the old world. You keep the conduits or the attachments or the kind of the rope through Carol Ann's closet into the old world. You keep as many of these old representations of the old reality as you can. You keep Tom Brady and reminds people the world's not really that much different because Tom Brady's still out there and Vanna White's still turning letters. And look, here comes Mick Jagger at 145 years old to do another concert. It's just the world I remember is still there. It's a reminder, a false reminder, a foe, if you will, that the old reality is still here and other things are changing, but no, everything is changing. They're just going to send ABBA out there for the 150 and the B-52s and recycle all the old geriatric bands to make you believe. And Tom Brady keeps going when he's in his 60s. You just believe that things aren't really that much different because you recognize the familiar names and faces. Even Bruce Springsteen, they pop him up with a special interview with Howard Stern on HBO. And Howard Stern is a route to the old world, and Bruce Springsteen is a geriatric route to the old world. And don't notice what we're doing to reality over here. Just, you have the same old names and faces you've always have, you dumb son of a beach. Not you. That's what they're saying to us. Except this little group can see through it. Thanks for listening, guys.